of the Lands Minister. Aliou Cisse has the rest of that.
The Election Bill 2021 was tabled during the last ordinary session of the National Assembly in March. Having gone through the first and second reading stages, the bill was referred to the Joint Committee of Regional Government and Lands, Ombudsman and IEC, and Human Rights and Constitutional Matters for comprehensive scrutiny and for the committee to report back to the plenary after consideration engagement with all stakeholders. Mariam Jack Denton, Speaker of the Parliament, who doubles as the chairperson of the Joint Committee, said the process will help the committee to make informed decisions on the bill.
The Joint Committee is expected to make reference to the Parent Act, the 1997 Constitution, and invite relevant witnesses, stakeholders, and subject matter specialists and other experts to help our journey through the consideration of the bill.
The committee has been meeting stakeholders, including the IEC, on the bill. However, the scrutiny couldn't proceed as planned on Thursday due to the absence of the Lands Minister, Musa Drame, to give an overview of the bill, taking into consideration sections of the bill relating on mayoral, chairperson, and councillor election. However, appearing before the Joint Committee, Buba Sanyang, the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Land and Local Government, was apologetic and took full responsibility. He explained that the minister wasn't notified in time as the minister was out of town on official engagement.
But then this misunderstanding or that has occurred, I apologize, and as the administrative head of the ministry, I take full responsibility of that, and I promise you that this will not be repeated.
While accepting the apology of P.S. Sanyang, disappointed committee members requested the presence of the minister at a later date to be decided by the committee and communicated to the ministry. Honorable Musa Amul Nyasi, co-chair of the Joint Committee, said they are expected to report back to the plenary in June on a bill he describes as one of the most important but controversial bills for all Gambians.
This bill is one of the most controversial bills, very important to every Gambian. Every Gambian, both in the Gambia and outside the Gambia. So we don't want to take things lightly. We want to make sure that when ministries are invited, they take up the responsibility of appearing before the committee. Because what we are saying is we want all inclusiveness. The Ministry of Regional Government and Lands have an important role, being the parent ministry of all the councils. That being said, we've had your explanation, and the Committee on Regional Government can attest to it, that your ministry have been very cooperative and they've been complying when it comes to appearing before our select committee. So this being your explanation and you are asking for forgiveness, I want to believe that members will actually accept and accommodate your apology with the expectation that a recurrence of what happened will not be seen happening again.
Also rescheduled is the Minister of Finance, who is to give an overview of the bill, taking into consideration the financial viability and operational costs for implementation of the bill. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
The managing director of NAWEC says 685 communities will get electricity by end of 2023. He was speaking at the National Assembly, where he was summoned by the Select Committee on the implementation of government projects to give an update on the rural electrification projects. Aliou Cisse reports again.
Appearing before the committee, Nani Juara, managing director of NAWEC, informed the committee that NAWEC is currently implementing 4 major electricity projects as part of the rural electrification expansion, targeting a total of 685 communities by 2023. Juara said the intention is to have an universal electricity access by 2025.
These projects are the Gambia Electricity Restoration and Modernization Project that has an access component which is covering communities in North Bank region, CRR, that is the Lamenkoto to Diabuku stretch, and we have the other component covering URR South and URR North. In total, for that project, we are expecting to cover 273 communities. And these communities are going to be in North Bank, CRR, and URR. The second project, which is the ECORIP, that is the ECOWAS Regional electricity access project. We will be covering almost about 298 communities. And the other project is the Gambia Electricity Access Project, funded by the African Development Bank. We are targeting to cover 114 communities. In total, we have about 685 communities to be covered under these three projects. The fourth project, which is going to be a continuation of the already existing electricity expansion project that covered the, some parts of Kiang and the greater Banjul area, will be continuing with an additional access program. The contract has already been signed, an addendum to the existing contract has already been signed. So that will be continuing as well.
Given the regional breakdown, the NAWEC boss reveals that 92 communities will be covered in the West Coast region, 185 in the North Bank region, 64 in the Lower River region, 179 in the Central River region, and 165 communities in the Upper River region. However, he emphasized that land compensation is a challenge in the implementation of these projects.
Land has always been a challenge, particularly within the GBA. Government is spending a lot of money to compensate affected parties by the projects. And sometimes most of the delay is because of this issue of land acquisition. Communities nowadays are very much uncompromising when it comes to acquisition of their land, and sometimes the amounts they are also claiming are usually always on the high side.
On the issue of the recent power outage in the Central and Upper River region, Jawara said the issue has been resolved, adding that another generator was being installed. According to him, there were only 2 generators serving the 2 regions. He also blamed extreme heat in that part of the country, which affects the generators. Officials of the Ministry of Agriculture did not turn up to give an update on the ruminant enhancement project. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
Looking forward to the project implementation. Now, the National Human Rights Commission on Thursday signed a memorandum of understanding with the Office of the Ombudsman, the National Legal Aid Agency, and the Department of Labor. Omar Pijalo has the rest of that.
Established in 2017 by an Act of Parliament, the National Human Rights Commission is mandated to promote and protect human rights in the Gambia. The Commission seeks to boost human rights standards in the Gambia and to nurture a culture of respect for rights and freedoms guaranteed by the rule of law. As the mandate of the Commission is linked to those of the Office of the Ombudsman and the National Legal Aid Agency, there is a need for close collaboration and cooperation to be effective in promoting and protecting fundamental human rights. At the signing ceremony, the Ombudsman Bakari K. Sanyang described the MOU as timely, citing the interlinking of their work. Sanyang gave an assurance of his institution's commitment to the areas of cooperation.
As a watchdog for the public sector, the Office of the Ombudsman only investigates the official actions of public officers. The private sector was therefore not included in our mandate. The creation of the National Human Rights Commission, therefore, with a broader jurisdiction, filled that void. Now members of the private sector have for the first time an independent body to complain to, in addition to the government body, which is Labor Department.
The Executive Secretary of the National Legal Aid Agency, Ahmed Kemo Sise, welcomed the development, saying his institution is mandated to provide, if asked, legal services to people who are charged in a court of law but cannot pay for a lawyer, and also give an assurance for close collaboration.
Many people cannot articulately defend themselves or explain their situation or even offer explanation as to why they did what they are accused of doing. And this is where legal aid and representation in general comes in. Without that, I'm afraid there is a high and significant risk that miscarriage of justice could occur.
The chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission, Emmanuel D. Diouf, said the main area of cooperation is information sharing to prevent duplication of their works as their mandates are linked. Diouf adds that the Commission is committed to developing and adopting tools and best practices from national and international partners, thus the need for the MOU.
In promoting awareness of and respect of human rights. We need to do that through effective cooperation with non-governmental organizations and other public entities, interest bodies in the field of human rights, discrimination, economic and social development, protection of vulnerable groups, universities, faith-based groups, youth advocacy. So we are actually tasked by our establishing act to make sure that we collaborate effectively with all these institutions. And actually this MOU, it's all about that.
One of the core functions of the National Human Rights Commission is to investigate violations of any human rights at its own initiative or on complaint made by any person or a group of persons, and also to formulate guidelines, policies and standard operating procedures to guide and ensure that state institutions, including those responsible for law enforcement, uphold human rights standards. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
From that story by Omar P. Jallo on the National Human Rights Commission, we will take a short commercial break. Still to come, we have local, international and sports news. Do stay tuned.
Ramadan Mubarak from Ajib Bank Limited. This Ramadan, when you open a savings account with Ajib Bank Limited, you will receive a free passbook. And when you open a current or salary account with the bank, you will receive a checkbook for free. Ajib Bank Limited is the only Islamic bank in the Gambia, and we share profits with our clients. So why wait? Visit any Ajib Bank Limited branch today and open your savings account, current or salary account, and enjoy the halal beauty of Islamic banking in line with the Sharia. Ajib Bank Limited, your investment partner.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News and I am Jennifer Sonko. Now, the Gambia has been validated by the WHO as the third African country to successfully eliminate trachoma disease as a public health problem and threat. More in this report by Ajibintu Drame.
Globally, trachoma disease is a public health threat and a serious problem in 44 countries, causing blindness or visual impairment for about 1.9 million people. The WHO estimates that 137 million people live in a trachoma endemic areas and are at risk of trachoma blindness. 29 of the affected countries are in Africa, affecting mostly those in the poorest and most rural areas. In 1993, the WHO adopted the SAFE strategy, mandated to provide leadership and coordination to international efforts aiming to eliminate trachoma as a public health problem and to report on progress towards that target. As of 10 September 2020, 13 countries reported achieving elimination goals through the WHO Alliance for Global Elimination of Trachoma under the support implementation of the SAFE strategy. The 13 countries to have been validated by WHO as having eliminated trachoma as a public health problem includes the Gambia. Dr. Desta Malamirel Tirune, WHO representative in the Gambia, says he congratulates the Gambia for the achievement. However, he says continuous efforts are needed to maintain the elimination of trachoma.
Very significant in terms of that for the Gambia to have achieved this. I mean, the job is finished. We have to continue. We have to continue to make sure that the environment is conducive and people who are getting infected are treated quickly so that they don't have that chronic infection that results into scarring of the eyes and results in blindness.
Mr. Tirune says people should inculcate a good behavioral change towards proper hygiene to eliminate such communicable diseases.
1998 passed a resolution for global elimination of trachoma, and that has promoted SAFE strategy, what we call SAFE strategy. SAFE strategy is one is surgery for those advanced cases where the scarring has been formed. You actually repair that so that the eyelashes will not turn inside and go out of the eyes so that it doesn't scratch your eyes. The other one is for active infection, antibiotics that you put in your eyes and will kill the germ. The other one is about facial cleanliness, meaning you have to wash your face daily with soap and water so that you can remove all these bacteria that are actually coming to your eyes. And the last one, which is E, environmental improvement, meaning that the congestion, the sanitation around that place, the flies and so on that are. The lesson that we learn from these diseases is that it's possible to eliminate and maintain our achievements, but it all depends on each and every one of us in the community.
The African countries reported as having been validated for eliminating trachoma as a public health problem are Gambia, Ghana and Morocco. Trachoma is an eye disease caused by infection with the bacterium Chlamydia trachomatis. The infection spreads from person to person through contaminated fingers, poor hygiene, inadequate access to water and proper sanitation, vomits and files that come into contact with discharge from the eyes and nose of an infected person, among others. The disease is common with children from age 15 years upwards. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
Thumbs up to the Ministry of Health. Now on to some international news. France's foreign minister has said the immediate priority in Chad is for the military council to ensure the country's stability. The statement comes after Chad's military council named Mohamed Idriss Déby as president following the death of his father. More in this report.
After the announcement of Idriss Déby's death, the presidency moved swiftly to put the reins of power in the hands of the 37-year-old general and tier of Chad's constitution, establishing a transition charter that lays out a new basic law for the country with a population of 16 million. In an interview with French TV, Jean-Yves Le Drian appeared to defend the suspension of the constitution, saying there were exceptional circumstances in Chad following the death of the president Idriss Déby. Many in Chad, including the opposition, have expressed disappointment at the minister's remarks, as they had been hoping France would lead international calls for a fast return to civilian rule. Chad has been a long-time ally of France and other Western powers in the battle against jihadist groups in the Sahel region of Africa. At least for now, it seems France will not be putting much pressure on the generals to hand the country over to civilians. The rebels, though, who have rejected the appointment of Mohamed Idriss Déby's ITNO, are still threatening to attack the capital and seize power. Reporting for QTV News, I am Yahya Jao.
In what has been described as a milestone in Gambian football, the Gambian Football Federation on Thursday signed a 3-year partnership agreement with Tempo Sport for the provision of 1,000 FIFA-approved balls annually. And Sumana Isonyasi has the rest of that.
Thursday's event has been commended by officials who describe it as a symbolic occasion that will further strengthen national efforts to boost football development in the country. Facilitated by national team player Ibrahim Sohna, the signing of this agreement will bring into effect a partnership that will see the Gambia Football Federation receive 3,000 balls. At the event, the Gambia Football Federation's president Lamin Kababajo underscored the importance of this partnership for the advancement of football in the country and went on to stress that these are FIFA-approved balls that are only found in few countries in the region, and commended Ibrahim Sohna for facilitating this partnership.
The players, to support them, to make sure that they have something to do or to participate in something meaningful towards football development at the end of their career. Ibrahim is unique because he didn't wait until he hung the boots. He's been involved in it. We've seen the Isona, a very laudable initiative. We've seen the hard work that his team, led by Kamara, what they are doing for Gambian football, especially our leagues.
Ibufai and Bakari K. Jame, the first and second vice presidents respectively, highlighted the importance of this partnership and urged former and current national team players to emulate Sohna, and cited ongoing rehabilitation works and building of infrastructural projects as a testament of the Federation's commitment to transforming Gambian football.
On this partnership, the details will be revealed by them. As we all know, football comprises of two most important key things. That is the ball and the ground. Having three years contract for quality balls for the national leagues throughout the country will immensely improve our football.
Is in front who brought the proposal. So I think we owe it to the players to support them, to make sure that they have something to do or to participate in something meaningful towards football development at the end of their career. Ibrahima is unique because he didn't wait until he hung the boots. He has been involved in it. We've seen the Isona, a very laudable initiative. We've seen the hard work that his team, led by Kamara, what they are doing.
Representing Tempo Sport, Ibrahima Sohna, who was in Tom Saintfait's squad that achieved Gambia's historic maiden AFCON qualification last month, expressed profound gratitude to the JFF for accepting his proposal, adding that it is a national duty to support such development.
I mean, you can just ignore me, but from the day one, you did not ignore me. You welcome me with open arms, and I have to say thanks to you guys. And that's so that you guys want to take the football to another level, and you want to make the Gambian league to a professional league. I mean, you can ignore me, and you will never even reply to my message or to my call. But I just want to say thanks, and I just want to say you guys to keep it up, because there's so many things changing now in the football.
The balls are expected to be used in games across all categories of JFF leagues and are sure to be greatly appreciated by the footballers across the country. Ansman Nyasi for KTV News.
The European Soccer League, which was designed to make the world's richest clubs even richer, appears to have collapsed before it had even gotten off the ground. Adele Campbell reports.
For Real Madrid president Florentino Perez, the European Soccer League was designed to be the savior of football. Around the world, football fans didn't get that memo. For football fans used to being exploited, this was one exploitation too far. The much-rumored announcement, fancy website and all, was greeted with undisguised anger and furious condemnation, seemingly from all sides. The grand vision possibly based itself on an American sports model, where American football and basketball teams even relocate to other states, simply had not taken into account the strength of feeling there would be against the idea. The most vociferous reaction came from English football fans and commentators. With the announcement of the intended involvement of 6 of the current biggest and richest clubs, including current champions Liverpool, Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Tottenham Spurs, 3 clubs from Spain and 3 from Italy. The others needed the English clubs to be involved, as the English Premier League is the most popular and lucrative of all the leagues in the world in terms of broadcast revenue. Both FIFA, World Football's governing body, and UEFA, European Football's governing body, immediately issued statements condemning the move, accompanied by threats of bans for the clubs from various competitions, including the Euros and World Cup. The British Prime Minister also weighed in with his opposition, as did Prince William, heir to the British throne and keen football fan. British newspapers also vented their disgust at the move. Their proposed plan was for the league to feature these clubs in a league with no relegation, playing against each other in a competition that would see the winner net £200 million in prize money. Current European and World Club champions Bayern Munich issued a press saying they were not interested in joining, and other non-participants were French serial champions Paris Saint-Germain. Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp, who had come against the idea 2 years ago, reiterated his opposition and said his club's directors had never discussed it with him. Man City manager Pep Guardiola echoed similar views. Man City and Chelsea were the first English clubs to withdraw, and by Wednesday, all 6 had done so. Without their involvement, the league is as good as dead, although the Real Madrid president is refusing to give in at the time of this broadcast. In reality, it seems it's already a case of game over. On this occasion, a meritocracy has won over football's aristocracy. Adele Dilly Campbell reporting for QTV News.
It seems that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News, but before we take a leave, let's take a recap of our main stories. The National Assembly Joint Committees on IEC and Constitutional Matters ongoing scrutiny of the election bill is put on hold after the Lands Minister failed to appear. The NAWEC MD brought good news, telling parliamentarians that 685 communities will get electricity by 2023. He also addressed significant recent power outages. African descendants. The Gambia has been validated by the WHO as the third African country to successfully eliminate trachoma disease as a public health problem. In international news, there is still instability in Chad as rebels and opposition parties reject the army's naming of the slain president's son as interim president. Former colonial power France called the move a sign of stability. In sports news, Gambia's football authorities have signed a partnership deal that will give a major boost to the game. Well, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. Do join us tomorrow, same time for more news. Thanks for watching and do take care of yourselves.